Hey everybody, it's Miss Dietrich here. We're going to take a look at how you're going to set up some of the questions on the quiz. So this is quiz 2A. Question number 1 says, to pass a math test, students must correctly answer at least 6/10 of the questions. Donald's score is 5/8. Karen's score is 88/100. Gino's score is the repeating 6/10. And Sierra's score is 4/5. How many of the students passed the test? So let's do this. Let's take each person's name. So we're dealing with Donald, we're dealing with Karen, we're dealing with Gino, Sierra, and then there's what's the score for passing. So what you need to do is you need to write down all the people's names that they're talking about. And if we go back to the word problem, we just plug in the decimals that are given. So they give us Karen, that's right in the problem. So see, that's right here. Karen is 88/100. And they tell us Gino, remember the 6/10 with the bar, that means the 0.66666. So what we need to do is we need to take the fraction equivalent for Donald. So if we look at Donald, see how it says 5/8. We need to find what 5 divided by 8 is. So you're going to go ahead and finish up this algorithm and turn it into a decimal, and I would put it right here. Now you can see here that this is going to go in 0 times. So we know that first value is going to be a 0 point something. So you need to get the something something here. So finish that up and put the decimal here for Donald. And for Sierra, her score was 4/5. So we have to kind of do something similar for that. If you do 4 divided by 5, remember 4 will not go into 5 will not go into 4. So we know it's going to be 0 point something. So finish that up. Now you're going to compare everybody's decimal to this decimal because remember passing, they said, was 6/10. And you might even want to throw a 0 on there just for comparison purposes. Now, if everybody ends up having a score that's higher than that, they want to know how many of the students passed. If it's everybody, then you're going to pick 4. Let's say Donald's score is like 0.5 or 5/10 after you do the division, then he would not have been one of the people that passed. But if everybody else has a score that's higher than that, then you're going to pick 3. All right, so you're basically identifying how many of these students have a score that's greater than 6/10, or that's at least passing. If it's equal to 6/10, then I guess that would be passing too, right? All right, so let's take a look at question number 2. Question number 2 says, which of the following shows numbers in order from least to greatest? Now, what I should point out, in all the answer choices, we have 1/4, we have 1/5, we have 1/6, we have 1/7, and we have 1/8 listed as fractions. So my recommendation is to turn all of the things that I have boxed in yellow into decimals. And how would we do that? So I'm going to put them in order: 1/4, 1/5, 1/6, 1/7, and 1/8. Or I should not in order, but the denominators, I should say, should be in order because that may or may not help you answer the question. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find the numerator divided by the denominator. So 1 divided by 4, find 1 divided by 5, find 1 divided by 6, and I started that for you. Find 1 divided by 7, find 1 divided by 8. Now, once you have all of your decimals and you have all this work in your notebook, then you're going to compare. I would rewrite above it. So see how 1 divided by 6, in fact, let's put that in right now. That means that this value right here, I'm just going to write down what that's equal to. We know it's going to be 2 point something. And what's the something? The something is 0.16. And that's going to repeat, but I think that's far enough out to know when we compare that to say this, right? To tune 4/10, we can see that this 1/10 is less than 4/10. So once you get everything in the decimal format, it's recommended you rewrite next to it or perhaps squeeze it in above on your piece of paper what the decimal equivalents are. So the only way you're going to do that is by dividing all of these out and finding the decimal equivalents and replacing it in each question with its equivalent. All right, so you might need to pause this so you can write this stuff down, but if you kind of understand what's going on there, then let's take a look at question number 3. Question number 3 says, Omarion has 9/10 of the pages in a book remaining to read for school. He reads 2/3 of the remaining pages over the weekend. What fraction of the book does Omarion read over the weekend? So remember, of means multiply. So we're going to be multiplying 2/3 with something. And in this case, what's that something? It's 9/10. So you'll do this algorithm and pick the answer in simplest form. All right, again, if you need to pause it so you can write it in your notes, fine. Otherwise, let's take a look at question number 4. Samantha bought 4/9 pounds of sunflower seeds. Brittany bought 4/10 pounds. And Tia bought 44/100 pounds. List the number in order from greatest to least. Now, again, we see we have a bunch of fractions here, so that 4/9 keeps coming up in the answer choices. So that means we really need to find the decimal equivalent of that by dividing 4 divided by 9. Now, once we get that decimal equivalent, let's line everything up nice and neat. So we already know that this value, if we throw a 0 on there, would be equal to 40 hundredths, or if you even wanted to throw another 0 on there for thousands, you certainly could. 44 hundredths written as a decimal would look like this. So finish up this math. Now, by the way, if it doesn't work out evenly when you get to the digit that's going to go right underneath that arrow, you might want to go ahead and just get that next digit. And remember that if we clarify how many thousandths we have, here we have no thousandths and here we have no thousandths. So if this is something other than 0, and that helps you to differentiate which is going to be the greatest out of the set, because you want to find the one that's the greatest. All right, so you might need to pause this so that you can write this stuff down. Otherwise, let's take a look at question number 5. An apple is cut into 10 pieces. 8/10 of the apple is eaten. Which fraction, in simplest form, represents the amount of apple that is left? So if we have the entire apple, we have one full apple. To find out how much is left, you have to subtract how much is eaten to get the amount left. So 8/10 is equal to 80 hundredths. So I'm going to suggest you rewrite it as that. And then subtract and get some decimal for the amount that's left. Now, if you prefer, you can still think of it as this. You can think of it as 1 and 0/10 if you like that better. Minus 8/10, that's going to get you the same thing. And get how many tenths would be left. Now, either way, whether you like the hundredths or whether you like the tenths, you're going to rewrite that as a fraction, and you'll look for the fraction, but be careful because it has to be in simplest form. The answer choice might be there unsimplified. You're not going to pick that. You want to make sure that you simplify it. All right, so if we're ready to go on to number 6, number 6 says, of the 24 students in Greg's class, 3/8 ride the bus to school. How many students ride the bus? So remember that word of usually means multiply. So we're multiplying the two numbers together, and that should be mental math. But if you're not able to use the mental math strategy, taking advantage of the fact that 8 is a factor of 24, then you can go ahead and rethink 24 as 24 over 1 and finish up the algorithm and choose your answer that way. All right, so you may need to pause this to write that down. Otherwise, let's take a look at question number 7. Yen needs to find the product of 5/8 times 24/25. Before he multiplies, he simplifies the factors. Which of the following is the equivalent expression? So basically, we're just going to take these values of 5/8 and 24/25, and what they're asking you to do is take advantage of the fact that we have a common factor here. So if we divide both of these by 5, what do you get right here and what do you get down here? And if going this way, we take advantage of the fact that both share the common factor of 8. The GCF of these two values is 8. So if we divide by 8, what do we get? If we divide this by 8, what do we get? Now, if you take your numbers and just kind of clean them up and rewrite them neatly, they're asking which one of these is that. All right, so you may need to pause that if you need to write that down. Otherwise, let's take a look at question number 8. Number 8 says, Devin drank 5/6 of her juice. What is this amount as a decimal? So you need to find what 5 divided by 6 is. And the one thing I want to make sure you're very careful of, because there are two choices that look pretty similar, let's make sure we understand the difference between choice A and choice C. Because choice A would suggest that the 8 and the 3 repeat. So if you get 0.83838383, you're going to pick choice A. Choice C says 0.83 with the repeating 3. So this would be 0.833333333, etc. So make sure that you go out far enough to tell, what's really happening there in this problem and, choose accordingly. All right, so if there's anything that I went too fast or, obviously you can go back and hit the rewind button. The other thing that I want to show everybody is that if you go to Google Classroom and you go to the stream, the scaffolding that I've been talking about should be available. So if you open this, that will be kind of the equivalent of what we were just looking at. Or this is just sort of like a paper copy of it. So if we open that up, you'll see kind of, like what it would look like if you were to put your stuff on paper. That's an option. So if you can't open that, then you're kind of stuck with using this video. to help you answer the questions, and feel free to pause it or even take screenshots for that matter of the video and put it on a blank document. All right, so good luck on the quiz. Not to stress you out or anything, but it does count heavily towards your average.